Good afternoon, you're watching NewsX and I'm Akshay Tandon. We make a start with some news that's just coming in. For the last 1 week, we have been getting you the details of how China is stepping up the aggression on land and air. Today, we get you exclusive details of how Beijing is also eyeing the oceans. Now, a day after we told you how Chinese Yuan class submarine was prowling the Indian Ocean, now NewsX is learning how the China is now trying to snoop on Indian vessels. PLA Navy's intelligence gathering vessel has been detected in the Indian Ocean region. While Indian Navy is high on alert, 13 Chinese naval units have been spotted in the region in the last 2 months. No. Chinese intelligence gathering PLA Navy vessel Haiwak Xing Type 815A Dondiao class has been detected in the Indian Ocean region. The ship is here to gather intelligence and snoop on Indian naval vessels. We also learn naval satellite Rukmini GSAT-7 submarine hunter and reconnaissance naval aircraft Poseidon 8I and warships are on the highest level of alert amidst tension between India and China. Let's go across to my colleague Ashish Singh joining us with further details of this sort of an aggression of China and Chinese vessels being detected in and around the Indian Ocean. Ashish, what does this really signify?
Just 3 days ahead of the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping on the sidelines of a G20 summit in Germany, this kind of military aggression, this time in maritime domain. What it suggests basically is that China is in no mood to de-escalate the tussle that has been going on between India and China for the last couple of weeks. We have witnessed how in airspace, through the airstrips, satellite images, just 2 days ago we broke the story how China is basically planning to corner India and circle India in the airspace, and how on land there have been a series of tussle being reported along the line of actual control between Indian Army and the PLA Army. Now, keeping these aspects in mind, what is important is the way Chinese are building aggression, this time in maritime domain, is certainly not a good sign for the India-China relation. Now, talking about this particular news break, what the Indian Navy headquarters has just received, as far as the entire intelligence report is concerned, that a Chinese vessel, which is basically specializes in the snooping and intelligence gathering. This particular vessel, which has been registered under Panama flag as merchant vessel, as a cargo carrier, has been spotted, has been detected by the Indian Navy satellite Rukmini. It's a GSAT-7 satellite dedicated for the defense purpose only, and once this was detected, a lot of other Chinese naval units have also been reported by the Indian satellite, the Indian Navy warships, and also by the aircraft, which is basically Poseidon 8I, P8I. It's a long-range reconnaissance aircraft. Reconnaissance report has been submitted to the naval headquarters as well. This particular vessel is Haiwak Xing. It's a Type 815A vessel of Chinese Navy, which basically under the smoke screen of, say, a merchant vessel can come close to any of the warships of any other country and can actually lower down the sonar, and through the electronic countermeasures can actually intercept all the communication that is taking place, primarily snooping on Indian Navy vessels in Indian Ocean region. Now, this is not just the only vessel of Chinese Navy that has been sighted. Approximately 13 Chinese naval units have been spotted in the Indian Ocean region in the last couple of months, which basically include submarine. Just remember, yesterday we broke the news how a Yuan class submarine was also spotted in Indian Ocean region. In addition to submarine, there are a few surveillance and intelligence gathering vessels. There are a few warships of Chinese Navy. So overall, the Chinese Navy is trying to create that aggression in maritime domain as well. As we speak, the Indian Navy's Rukmini satellite, the GSAT-7, and the P8I aircraft, which basically is a reconnaissance aircraft and also a submarine hunter. This is a Boeing P8I aircraft, and all the warships of Indian Navy have been put on high alert to ensure that how the Chinese naval units are moving in and around Indian Ocean region. warships of Indian Navy have been put on high alert to ensure that how the Chinese naval units are moving in and around Indian Ocean region can be monitored. We are also joined by Colonel Vinayak Bhatt, who is a satellite imagery expert. Colonel Bhatt, thank you for speaking to NewsX. My first question to you, what do you understand from these Chinese aggression, this time in maritime domain? We have reported in last 10 days how China is basically creating tussle on land, in airspace, and this time we have got this confirmation that Chinese Navy is trying to create the tussle between India and China, at least in maritime domain as well. Colonel Bhatt?
Yes, very true. China has been doing lots of offensive maneuvers. They have done it on ground in Sikkim, opposite Sikkim area, and now they're doing it in the naval area in the Indian Ocean region. You have to understand that they are sending enough.
Okay, we'll try and reconnect with Colonel Vinayak Bhatt, who is an imagery expert from satellite. This basically is just to give our viewers a little more description about what kind of vessel is being used by the Chinese Navy. The vessel, we are going to just in a file picture of that vessel we are going to put out on our screens so that our viewers get a sense of how exactly Chinese Navy have calling it a merchant vessel, but it's full of intelligence and snooping devices on board. We are also joined by G.J. Singh. Sir, how do you understand this kind of Chinese Navy aggression in maritime domain? We have just received confirmation that close to 13 Chinese naval units are moving in and around Indian Ocean region. Is it a good sign? Just before, 3 days before, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping would be interacting with each other, at least would be coming face to face on the sidelines of G20 summit in Germany.
Yeah, I consider it a very serious matter because Chinese will not do such a thing, by chance. It will not be just a coincidence. It is a well-thought, well-studied move. Because China has not been happy. In fact, it is angered with getting close to United States. And at this moment, a new axis is emerging now. With the Prime Minister Modi going to Israel, it is very clear there is an axis now between United States, Israel, and India. And the rest of the Middle East countries, and China, of course, is on the side of Pakistan. And therefore, this particular, flotilla or the task force of 13 ships which are operating in the Indian Ocean is a serious matter because it heightens the threat perception of the countries which are around the Arabian Sea fringe. Especially, we have to be very careful because we cannot trust the Chinese. Earlier they had sent a submarine.
Comrade G.J. Singh, do you see it as a deliberate attempt by the Chinese to ensure that they get detected and the Indian Navy gets the message? Do you see this as a maneuver, a pre-planned maneuver once they see that there is a lot of tussle happening on ground along the line of actual control and now in maritime domain as well?
You see, what they are probably trying to do is that by putting pressure from the seaward side, you see, this is also a tactic which is generally used in the warfare or in the diplomatic, arena, that you put pressure on a country by sending your task force around its coastline or around its, seaward side. So, since we have a standoff in the east at, tri-junction of Bhutan, Sikkim and China, I clearly see that this is something which they are trying to pressurize us, that look, we can be haughty, we can be, we have an upper hand, we can do something from the other side if you don't give in at the tri-junction. So it is definitely a very strategic, tactical move on part of China. It is not a simple
Well,
matter.
as far as the cooperation in maritime domain is concerned, you are saying the only cooperation that is expected from Chinese Navy side is in the Gulf of Aden for the anti-piracy operations, where all the navies have deployed their assets. But in that case as well, we have seen how China deploys a submarine. There is obviously no need of deploying a submarine in any anti-piracy operation, but 13 units of Chinese Navy in Indian Ocean region. Is it a normal thing? And I'm told by the Naval Headquarters sources that the Rukmini satellite GSAT-7, the PATI have been put at the highest alert level to ensure that every movement of Chinese naval unit can be detected.
Yeah, we need to monitor their movements, because one thing I'm very sure is that when the Chinese deploy their nuclear attack submarines in the Arabian Sea or in the Indian Ocean, which are joining our Indian Ocean region, which is joining our area, it becomes automatically a matter of concern for not only India, it should be for the other countries as well.
Yes, certainly it is a matter of concern, such a huge number of naval units in Indian Ocean region. We are joined by Colonel Bhatt once again. Colonel Bhatt, help us understand, since you are a satellite imagery expert, what is the importance of a Rukmini satellite, a GSAT-7, which is dedicated for Indian Navy operations only, when we get to know from Naval Headquarters that this particular satellite has been put on the highest level of alert to ensure that every movement is detected and monitored of Chinese Navy. Also, I would like you to describe to our viewers what exactly is this ship particularly. This is an 815A type vessel, but when we see on website, it appears more like a merchant vessel.
Yes, I'll tell you first about the Rukmini satellite. It is one of our premium satellites, and it can give very good resolution, sub-meter resolution, and you can detect movements of even small trawlers. So that suffices. I think I should not be going into the details of the satellite. But then this particular ship, what we are talking about, is Haiwang Xing.
Yes.
That means Neptune in English. Yes. It has a length of 130 meters and a beam of 16.5 meters. It has a draft of 6.5 meters, and it has 4 large antenna domes. The radar domes size itself indicate the high sensitivity to the radar emissions. Yeah. You know, they can monitor very easily the ballistic missile defense units.
I would request our producers to just keep the picture of that particular ship on screen, so that while you're describing, our viewers can actually get a sense of exactly what you're describing, because at first look, it appears more like a merchant vessel and not a surveillance or an intelligence gathering, a snooping Navy unit. Colonel Bhatt, go ahead.
Actually, the radars on top of it, the radar domes, are very large. They start from 3.5 meters and go up to 8 meters. The largest is almost 8 meters in size. The size of those radar domes itself indicate to us the high sensitivity, what the equipment inside would be having.
Yes.
They can monitor the BMD units of their adversaries. They can monitor fighters. They can monitor ships. The conversations in the ships also, the Aegis combat system it has been able to monitor. That is what we've learned.
Yeah.
They have been snooping onto the U.S. vessels. Generally, U.S. Navy vessels have been snooped onto by these ships. In RIMPAC 2012, they had done it. They had come very close, about 5 to 7 kilometers from the U.S. naval flotilla. They had come, and they were trying to snoop onto them. The thing is,
once again, the U.S. ships are coming for the Malabar exercise, sir. U.S., Japan and India, the tri-country exercise that's going to take place. Do you feel this could be one of the purposes of Chinese Navy deploying this kind of surveillance?
Certainly, and the only purpose I feel is this particular exercise which China feels is an important exercise for them.
Colonel, but help us
And-
understand then what's the need to make it look like a merchant vessel? They can easily come as say deploy these similar radars and similar surveillance devices on a submarine, on a warship. What's the need to keep this, give it a merchant vessel appearance, sir?
Really speaking about the types of ships, it does not look like a merchant ship at all. Really speaking about the types of ships, it does not look like a merchant ship at all. It does look like a normal PLA Navy vessel.
Okay.
The only thing is, it generally resembles the Trangha vessel of Chinese Navy, which they use for their training.
Okay.
That is what it resembles to. But the radar domes show that this is particularly a SIGINT ship, which is likely to be used against the Indian Navy and the US Navy for this particular exercise. If they have
How
come at
dangerous
this
it would be,
time-
sir, for us to have 13 Chinese naval units in a span of just 2 months being detected by GSAT-7 Rukmani satellite, by our PATI submarine hunter aircraft, by our warships. How big a number is this, and how much is the reason for us to worry? And should Indian Navy be reacting to this, or this is a normal procedure that Chinese Navy always try to encircle us, try to show their dominance in the maritime domain against India?
It is really not a cause for worry, but yes, certainly we need to monitor all these activities.
Yeah.
Their escort flotillas, which have been going into the through the Indian Ocean region,
Yeah.
they have been 23rd, 24th, 25th must have passed in the recent last 2 months or so.
Yes.
That is how the count has come to almost 13. But we should be worried about this particular ship. You know, this intelligence ship is very important to us. For US, it may not be as important or
Yes.
offensive in nature, because the US Navy also has these kind of spy ships, and they use them for such particular purposes.
Yeah.
But we do not have, and we do not do it right now.
Yes.
So it is an offensive maneuver as far as I can see it.
Certainly,
If
Colonel,
we are
but
holding an
basically
exercise
what we
in the
understand
Indian
is Chinese are trying to escalate the matter, what we witnessed in last couple of weeks along the line of actual control on land. Now we are witnessing in maritime domain. Remember, yesterday we broke the news how Chinese Yuan class submarine, a conventional submarine, was also detected. This was 7th such deployment that has been detected of Chinese Navy by the Indian Navy in a span of just last 3 years. This certainly is a sign of worry, especially when just 3 days from now, Prime Minister Modi would be interacting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Back to the studios.
Ashish, thanks very much indeed for bringing us all those details and perspectives from the experts on what does this really mean